Jason Batson of Batson and Associates, supporting health naturally. Good morning. Good to see you again.
Yes, good morning. Good to see you again. Yeah. Of course, a pleasant good morning to the listeners of 103.1 FM. Always a pleasure to be in your company discussing health. And today, of course, we're discussing an issue that affects so many women. And I think a lot of persons don't really understand the seriousness and the severity of the situation. And that is as it relates to postmenopause. You find that a lot of women have reached a point in their life where they no longer see their menstrual cycle. And as a result of that, you find that they have now gone into what is known as postmenopause. Post, of course, meaning after, and menopause, where you cease or they cease seeing their menstrual cycle. The thing is, this is not uh easy transition for a number of them, simply because you find that simply because you find a lot of women experience so many things, for example, insomnia, anxiety. So the thing is, a lot of the times the postmenopause is actually the precursor to a number of things: hypertension, depression, anxiety, insomnia, severe weakness in your legs, extreme tiredness, loss of hair, loss of appetite, a number of different issues. You're very moody, no desire for intercourse or anything like that. So, a number of women experience that and don't really know how to deal with it. And that's one of the things that we deal with so skillfully at Batson and Associates, where we are practitioners in natural and integrative medicine. And I'll go in a bit uh, to expound exactly what that means, especially as it relates to the topic that we're discussing, which is postmenopause. Now, keep in mind, even though we're discussing postmenopause and the symptomology associated with postmenopause, you can ask any question. Keep in mind, we are live on our social media platforms. We are Batson and Associates Limited on Facebook. On Instagram, we are Batson and Associates TT. On YouTube, we are Batson and Associates Trinidad. And on TikTok, we are Batson and Associates. Keep in mind, of course, our locations and telephone numbers. We still have that package for analyzing and really determining what is the root cause of your problem. And we have been able to help so many women on that journey to postmenopause, or to really be able to tolerate or have an easy transition, when that time comes, because it can really, 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 really rather be problematic. So very quickly, let me give you our telephone number for head office. That's Shogunas. That's 222-8261. That's 222-8261. And of course, David is the corner of Ramsey Mood Trace and the SS Erin Main Road in Debe. That number for Debe, of course, is 223-7515. 223-7515. Karen, of course, you can remind them of your WhatsApp number there as regards to any questions. We have any questions as yet?
No questions coming in just yet, but for you, listener, you can send your questions to us via WhatsApp to 299-4103.
Great. Now, one of the things that you find a number of individuals, let me, of course, say a pleasant good morning to Miss Annabella in Tobago, Miss Rachel Johnson, Miss Anissa Rahaman. They have just joined us, as well as our Instagram. Remember, we are live on Instagram. We are Batson and Associates TT, and you can always add us, like us, share us, because you get an opportunity to have so much information available regarding various diseases, various aspects associated with things like inflammation, digestion problems. So many individuals have problems with acid reflux. And that's something that we deal with naturally at Batson and Associates. So you can feel free again to give us a call or visit that telephone number, 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Let me say a pleasant good morning to Pam Powell, who is actually watching us from England. A pleasant, well, good day to you, because I know you're like about 5 hours or 4 hours ahead of us, something so, based on what I remember. Keep in mind again that special that we have. So what is it as it relates to postmenopause, or what are some of the symptomology associated with postmenopause? Diabetes, hypertension. So you find a lot of women find that they would be experiencing elevated blood pressure levels all of a sudden. So before menopause, they were good. And now all of a sudden they have elevated blood pressure. They're getting 150, they're getting 160, even 170. That's the systolic, your top number. And of course, in the case of the diastolic, they're getting like excess over 90, over 100. That, of course, is an indication of being hypertensive. But what is the reason for that particular hypertension? You can also check out our Facebook page, Batson and Associates Limited on Facebook, where we actually advertise one of the products that we carry, which is a product known as Women's Formula. Now, the thing with Women's Formula is that Women's Formula is primarily designed to assist the endocrine system. Remember, hormones are produced by glands in the body, and the endocrine system is the system that comprises glands. So you have your thyroid, parathyroid, pituitary, adrenal glands, that type of thing. So what Women's Formula actually does is actually balance the endocrine system so that you now get balance in terms of the production of hormones. We have a question?
Yes, we do. We have a couple questions coming in.
Nice.
This is someone who experienced menstrual cycle up to her 40s, saw her last cycle in her 40s. She's now 64 years old, and 2 months ago noted some bleeding.
Okay, but that's usually an issue associated again with hormonal imbalance. The thing is, a lot of women should try, because you find women would usually check themselves often while they're seeing the cycle or during those years when they are not going through menopause, right? Because so they'll normally do their pap smear, they may do abdominal pelvic ultrasounds ever so often and that type of thing. What you often find, which is something that women should not really do, is when they pass or they go through menopause, they automatically assume that there is no reason to check hormones because they think for some reason that they no longer have. The thing is, you have hormones, you just no longer have a menstrual cycle. So it's a transition where the production of certain hormones, for example, estrogen, progesterone, those type of hormones, will be much less. And then you have, other hormones, for example, things like gonadotropin and those others that are going to be at particular levels. So what you find is that you still have hormones and your hormones need to be balanced because a lot of women don't understand that they could have hormonal imbalance after menopause. I don't know, for some reason, there's a misconception that once you go through menopause, like you die internally. That's not the case. You are still existing, you're living, you're breathing, and your body needs hormones to function properly. So, in a case where you have hormonal imbalance, it can be a challenge. So, what I would suggest you do is at least try and see a gynecologist. You could have an abdominal pelvic ultrasound done to evaluate, if there's any things like endometriosis, which is thickening of the uterine lining. You find a lot of elderly women do have that and can experience some postmenopausal bleeding. Or it could just be you may have gone through some sort of stressful experience, because stress could actually cause women to have a menstrual cycle even after menopause or have some sort of bleeding after menopause. So there are a number of things, but I would suggest you check your healthcare provider. And of course, if you want some advice from Batson Associates, you can feel free to give us a call. That number again is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. And that location is the first floor of Money Talks building in Montrose, Chaguanas. Question?
Okay, we have another question for you. Will I still experience menopause even after having my ovaries removed?
Good question. The thing is, you could actually have surgical induced menopause. What is that? So if you surgically remove your uterus, so there's a total hysterectomy and a partial hysterectomy. Total hysterectomy, sorry, where the ovaries and the uterus have been removed. Then you have partial hysterectomies where they may remove, the uterus, but the ovaries remain. Now, in instances like that, you find women may not experience what is known as surgical menopause. So in a case like that, once the ovaries have been removed, it's even more so that you should actually take care of yourself from the hormonal perspective, because you're missing a key aspect that you still need even after you go through menopause. In natural and integrated medicine, one of the things you understand is how different organs actually affect other organs. So every organ in the human body has a purpose and a function, and other organs are actually dependent on the health of those organs. So, for example, your ovaries play a significant role in your mental health and your central nervous system. Hence, you find a lot of women who have done hysterectomies have serious mental and psychological problems. Example, insomnia, depression, anxiety. You also find in indications where you could actually have situations that because of the removal now of the uterus, you actually have blood issues. Hence, you have problems with high blood pressure. You may have poor circulation as a result of removing the uterus, which also plays a serious role in the cardiovascular and the circulatory system. Remember, every organ in the body has a purpose, and if you remove an organ, there is a consequence for it. There is a consequence. Okay. Again, pleasant good morning to all our listeners. Keep in mind we are live on our social media platforms. We are Batson and Associates Limited on Facebook, on Instagram. We are Batson and Associates TT. We have a next question.
Yes, so this person is asking you to tell us more about endometriosis.
Okay, good. Before I continue endometriosis, let me just quickly say, yours truly, Dr. Batson. Remember, we have those consultations. We have your review consultations as well. And those particular review consultations actually give you the ability to see me, the senior medical consultant at Batson and Associates. Friday, which is tomorrow, please God, we'll be in St. James. And of course, in Shogunas, God's willing, I'll be there this Saturday. So Shogunas is usually on a Wednesday, but we also have a Saturday clinic this Saturday. So you could, of course, take advantage of that. That telephone number again for Shogunas is 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Debe is the corner of Ramsey Wood Trace and the SS Erin Main Road. That number is 223-7515. We also have a location in St. James as well as Tobago. You can call any of those numbers and they'll provide that for you. So, of course, very quickly, what is endometriosis? So endometriosis is actually thickening of the uterine lining or the endometrial. Now, what you find with a lot of women, there's a certain thickness on the wall there. And if it becomes too thick, it causes a number of problems. Hormonal imbalance challenges, extremely painful menstrual cycle. So if you're a female and you have an extremely painful menstrual cycle, I know they tell you these old wives' tale where they say you may have thrown your sanitary napkin in the sea or something like that. No, has nothing to do with that. What it really is an indication of some sort of hormonal imbalance that if left unchecked, it could actually become worse. So you usually find women who have endometriosis can also have problems with polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is the most common. You can also find issues associated with fibroids. You can also find issues associated with polycystic ovaries and ovarian cysts as well. So again, feel free to give us a call or visit those telephone numbers and location again. Shogunas 222-8261. Question?
All right, so this is from a listener who explained that she first had a cesarean. And she had her tubes tied, and she, in 2017, had a hysterectomy, complete hysterectomy. And that was in 2017. She's now 55. She wasn't advised to take any medication, any hormonal imbalance and meds or anything like that. But now she's experiencing flashes. So she has the cold where she feels like her body has just run out of blood. And then just go all the way to a hot flash where she feels so really, really overheated. So she's asking you to explain and if there's anything you can do to help.
Yeah, definitely. There are a number of things we could do to help that. Well, as she so rightfully said, once it is you do, because let me make sure I have it correct, because I was looking in a number of different places. She said that she did a hysterectomy, correct?
Correct.
And it was a total hysterectomy, correct?
Yes.
Right. But she didn't experience anything at that time, but now she's experiencing this sort of hot flash in between situation. Right. Now, the thing is, you're going to have, ideally, you should have done integrative hormonal replacement therapy. Now, a lot of people would ask, what is that? And that's something that we do at Batson and Associates, where you can now get replacement therapy, because the thing is your body is missing a part, and because of missing this particular part, there are things that's supposed to be present that are no longer present. So as a result of that, you're going to get some sort of issue some people issues take a little longer than others to come, right? So in this particular case, women's formula would definitely be something that you could take a look at. There's also a product we carry at Batson and Associates called Nerve Restore. You're gonna have to call and give them your name for that because we do not have that in stock as yet. We're waiting on that and a few things, well, even Santulan as well, but bear with us. We will be getting those things shortly. And you know, we do some balancing there, and then you wouldn't have that problem again. But you know why I decided to do this particular program, and I'm actually going to do a series on it, is because there are so many women. When I tell you, there's so many women. I mean, I don't. I think to say you feel sorry for people is uh, not necessarily nonsensical. I think empathy is the better word. So I empathize with a lot of women who have this problem because I know from a mental and a psychological perspective, a physiological perspective, what these women go through on a daily basis. And the unfortunate thing is, because of ignorance in some cases, or arrogance in some cases on some of your part, you don't understand the connection, especially as it relates to nutrition and proper nutrition. And that's what we do at Batson and Associates as a team of integrated practitioners, which include medical nutritionists, senior medical consultants, consultants trained in natural and integrative medicine, clinical nutrition, orthomolecular medicine, and a number of different facets of medicine, which all help in actually dealing and addressing the root cause of the issue. Always remember that inflammatory response is the root cause of all diseases. If you have high inflammation in your body, there is no way on the face of the earth or the universe that you could get better because you are missing certain things. Your body gives, you are sick for one of two reasons. You either have too much of something or you have too little. I guarantee you, it's a matter because the body's objective is always to maintain what? Homeostasis, balance, equilibrium. So again, feel free to give us a call or visit. Keep in mind that even though we discuss this particular aspect associated with postmenopause, we deal with a number of issues. If you have polycystic ovaries, hormonal imbalance, feel free, of course, to give us a call or visit. Keep in mind, we have our consultants, senior, well-trained consultants, who would usually do your blood analysis, do your magnetic resonance analysis, and then, if need be, you would get a review from yours truly. So please, sorry. Yes, before I continue, question?
Right, yeah, so this person is asking, can menopause start as early as 40?
Menopause can start as early as 32. Menopause is dependent on the amount of egg reserve that a woman has. And therefore, menopause is one of the few things that is actually based a lot on hereditary. So if your mom, for example, had a menopause very early or went through menopause very early, the likelihood that you would have an early menopause is also the same. The possibility greatly exists because that is dependent on the amount of eggs that a female has. So once you have that number has ceased, then you would now go through menopause. So you could go through menopause as early as 30, 32, as late as 60, in some cases 65. Good. So I know our time is very close to, okay, go ahead. Question? My apologies.
What causes bleeding under the skin?
Bleeding under the skin. That could be a number of things. It could be an issue associated with the person could elaborate a bit, but let me see. One, it could be a situation of poor peripheral circulation, which is circulation in the extremities. It could be an indication of some sort of venous situation, like for example, people who have like venous ulcers, where you would actually see, or people who may be diabetics who have poor circulation, and as a result of that, you actually have bleeding under the skin. But as I said, you could elaborate a bit more where that is concerned. But usually it is an indication, sorry, of poor circulation.
All right, 2994103. My daughter was diagnosed with PCOS. She was told that her uterus was tilted backward. She is on a treatment of Provera 3 times daily for 3 months. She has also been experiencing heavy menstruation. What advice can you give?
The thing is, when you're dealing with polycystic ovarian syndrome, again, it is a result of hormonal imbalance. So there are a number of things that are recommended. And I've treated clients who would have used things like Provera, Diane 35, metformin, and that type of thing. And you may get some sort of relief in my opinion, I quite frankly think that these women don't really get the relief that they're looking for because they're not dealing with the root cause of the problem. So, especially when she has a painful menstrual cycle and a very heavy menstrual cycle. She also has gastrointestinal problem. That medication is not going to address the gastrointestinal problem. So the thing is, I would suggest you call, you get a consultation at Batson and Associates, and we're definitely going to correct that problem for you. One thing I could safely say, there are some things that we excel in, most things. Hormonal imbalance is one. From infertility, polycystic ovaries, fibroids, ovarian cysts, endometriosis. We actually had a client who had endometriosis in their lungs, and it was to the point where the doctors wanted to remove a total hysterectomy, and we helped them, and they no longer have that situation. So again, it's a matter of addressing the root cause of the problem. Yes.
Right, and as usual, we have
Mhm.
questions
Coming when I'm ready to leave.
This is a 59-year-old had her last period at 50, but now she has very low libido. Is there anything you can suggest?
Yeah, definitely. Women's formula is something I would address. There's a product we have called inflammation formula, silver with mineral formula, because what you really want to do again is address the root cause, do some work on the gastrointestinal. One thing, and with that, you could also get a consultation. So what I suggest, of course, you give us a call, that telephone number. Yes, we have a question again.
Question: what causes spotting before the period? Also would note that I had my tubes tied at 45.
Okay, tubal ligation is not a problem. That's the medical term for tying your tube. But the thing is, you're going to have some sort of issue there where you're going to have to get some balance. Again, that is hormonal imbalance where you're getting spotting. So again, feel free to give us a call or visit. That number again should go on us 222-8261. That's 222-8261. Keep in mind we are live on our social media platforms, and we usually have our question and answer on a Sunday from 7:30 to 9. That's Sunday evening, 7:30 to 9 p.m. So you could actually join that, where you could actually have more persons asking questions, and you may be able to benefit from that. You have been listening to Dr. Jason Batson, the Senior Medical Director at Batson and Associates. As we always say at Batson and Associates, if you think health is expensive, try sickness. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. God bless you guys. To the listeners of 103.1 FM, be safe. Watch how you're driving on the roads with all this traffic. Those of you with the Sahara dust, be careful. Make sure and drink your water. Check out our Alkagen water as well as our silver with mineral formula. Take care, guys. God bless. Until next week, please, God.
All right. So you've been listening to a segment which came to you courtesy of Batson and Associates with Dr. Jason Batson, supporting health naturally. That was a paid program. The views expressed within were not those of one.
So, social media. So, to our listeners on Facebook, let me say, of course, a pleasant good morning, Mr. Jabari Green, Ms. Karishma Ramdan, two of our consultants joining us there. Maureen Tull says, Dr. Batson, what can you recommend for sciatica nerve? Sciatica usually has to do with acidity in the body, where you actually may have a situation of herniated disc or a disc resting on a nerve or something like that. In those particular instances, what you find is that you need to address one, acidity, and the imbalance in the musculoskeletal system. Okay, Ms. Shanti Ramru says, good morning, Dr. Batson and everyone. Leslie Ann Clifford, good morning, Doc. Good program. Thank you so very much. To the gentleman who asked about Santulancer, yes, almost. We should be getting through with that by the end of next week, please God. We just had some challenges. And that's in the system where, we are waiting to have certain things done. So bear with us. That should be God's will next week, please. Next week, please God. And keep in mind again those telephone numbers and locations. We are located on the first floor of Money Talks building. That's Money Talks building in Montrose, Chaguanas. That number is 222-8261. Debe is the corner of Ramsonwood Trace and the SS Erie Main Road in Debe. That number is 223-7515. St. James is Red Edge Mall, Western Main Road, St. James. That number for St. James is 220-8113. And Tobago is the Triangle Building in Scarborough, Tobago. That number is 226-4553. Again, 226-4553. Remember, join us Sunday from 7:30 to 9, where we will have our regular question and answer. So, of course, tune in. We'll be discussing a number of things. Take care. God bless. Bye.